William Coughlin. It was May 28th, 1993, when 26-year-old William Coughlin, with a newfound passion for caving, decided to visit a cave in Kentucky with his friends James and Kevin. The cave was divided into two sections: the historic tour, which was accessible to most visitors, and the more dangerous wild tour, reserved for experienced and daring people. After completing the easier historic tour, the guide asked if they wanted to proceed with the more challenging wild tour. Once they agreed, they were required to sign a document acknowledging the risks involved and absolving the operators of any responsibility. This should have been the first red flag, and Kevin decided to opt out, returning to the safer area. The remaining group, now consisting of William James and four other participants, was led by the guide into the wild tour. He stressed the importance of staying close and reminded them of the potential dangers as they descended into the lower sections of the cave. They encountered a 30-foot hanging cable ladder with wooden rungs after climbing down and going a bit forward. There was a second shorter ladder at the bottom of the second ladder. The guide informed the group that the official tour had ended. He mentioned they could explore nearby passages if they wished, but noted that they were running behind schedule and that he needed to step away briefly for a phone call. He left the group at the base of the ladder, and this is when William decided to explore a passage. He had noticed earlier. He discussed it with James, who agreed, and William attempted to climb back up the second ladder. However, the climb proved difficult. He was 6 feet tall and weighed 220 pounds, struggling to ascend. William decided to wait for the guide instead. As time passed and the guide didn't return, William attempted to climb the ladder again. Tragically, halfway up, he lost his grip and fell, violently striking his head on a protruding rock before landing hard on the ground. Blood began pooling from his head, and James rushed to help him. Although William remained conscious, he was delirious and visibly stunned. When the guide finally returned, he instructed the group to climb back out the way they came. However, William's condition made this impossible. James, frustrated, demanded the guide call a cave rescue team, but the guide dismissed the idea, insisting that the group work together to get William out. James began to suspect the guide was avoiding involving authorities, perhaps to prevent panic among other visitors. The group decided their best option was to bypass the second ladder entirely and take an alternative route through a narrow, previously mapped corridor, not part of the official tour. With teamwork, they managed to navigate the initial section, carrying William with them. However, the real challenge came when they reached a rough, sharp, V-shaped passage, which made gripping difficult. When it was William's turn, he went in head first, but his size made it an extremely tight fit. Halfway through, he became stuck and realized he couldn't move forward or backward, trapped in a horizontal position. With his arms pinned beneath him, he began to panic. The tightness of the passage compressed his chest, making it difficult for him to breathe. The group's attempts to pull him out were futile as panic set in. The guide instructed James to exit the cave and inform the owner of the situation. James rushed to the surface, but the owner appeared reluctant to involve authorities. The guide, finally recognizing the severity of the situation, went out to get a med kit and to call for emergency services. It took 3 hours for rescue and medical personnel to arrive. Meanwhile, James stayed by William's side, trying to keep him calm. But William's responses grew slower and more slurred until he eventually stopped responding altogether. When rescuers reached William, they faced immense challenges. The downward angle of the passage made it difficult to revive him. They brought in heaters to protect him from hypothermia and began evacuating the rest of the group, leaving only James behind to witness what was happening to his friend. A pulley system was installed to try to free William, but every tug caused him immense pain, so much so that he once again started groaning in agony. The rescue team worked tirelessly throughout Saturday, but after 17 hours of efforts, William was tragically pronounced dead.